from the National News Studio, Sri Lanka.
Hello there, good evening and welcome to the National News broadcast, bringing you your top stories for tonight. I am Lakshita Thirisinghe.
A very good evening to you. I'm Sharifa Tahir. Let's take a look at the headlines.
DENGO's 6-month mission to eradicate dengue epidemic begins. President meets Commonwealth Secretary General. All bakery products including bread reduced by 10 rupees. Delayed increased allowances released to the salaries of the deceased and disabled army members and families. Close to $14 million worth medicinal drug donation. Deep-sea craft carrying 5 to Titanic wreckage reported missing. Search operations are underway.
On to those and other stories in detail. We start off with the top story for tonight. The national project DENGO to prevent the further spread of the dengue epidemic was commenced today.
This project is jointly initiated by Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation and Refuge, Sri Lanka. The dengue epidemic in Sri Lanka is currently at a high-risk level. Recognizing the present situation, Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, together with Refuge Sri Lanka, initiated this dengue prevention program. The program was launched at the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation premises. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, W.B. Ganegala, Director General Asanga Jalaf, Head of Marketing of Refuge Sri Lanka, Shaminda Pereira, and Category Manager Brand, Devindi Hevabandula signed a memorandum of understanding during this event. The national television agreed to initiate the dengue prevention national program for a period of 6 months jointly with Refuge Sri Lanka. Chairman of the Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation, W.B. Ganegala, said that the national television is one of the state agencies who have fulfilled their national duty at the highest level in such state initiatives. He said that deliberations were made over the possible contributions which can be made as the national television to eradicate this dengue epidemic, which is fast spreading in several districts in the country. Accordingly, he said that a decision was reached to fulfill this national responsibility with the financial support of the Refuge and Commonwealth of Ceylon Limited. Accordingly, programs to create awareness and clean areas identified as high-risk zones for dengue in the country will be initiated in the near future. The Ministries of Mass Media, Health, Public Security, Education and Public Administration, Home Affairs and Local Government will directly extend their support for this program. State officials, public health inspectors, police officers and students were present at the inauguration event.
Minister Keheliya Rambukwella says that steps will be taken to absorb dengue prevention assistance who is on temporary basis into the permanent cadre. He made these remarks while responding to a query raised by the opposition leader in the parliament today. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that the dengue epidemic has become an issue in the country again. He said that specially trained group of personnel was recruited for the dengue prevention campaign. He pointed out that these assistants have not been absorbed into the permanent cadre yet.
කාලික පත්‍රීන් ලබලා තිබෙන ඒ සියලුම දෙනාට ස්ථිර පත්‍රීන් ලබා දෙන්නේ කියන එකත් මම මේ අවස්ථාවේ ආණ්ඩු පක්ෂයේ ප්‍රධාන සංවිධායකතුමා හරහා සෞඛ්‍ය සෞඛ්‍යමතුමා එනවා පක්ෂ නායක
Minister Keheliya Rambukwella, agreeing with the opposition leader, said that these personnel were recruited in 2016 without basic qualifications. However, they have continued to serve in the campaign for 8 years. He said that 3 cabinet papers were tabled in this regard, but the management services have raised objections to all 3 papers. He said that he will present another cabinet paper at the next cabinet meeting in this regard. The minister said that the daily wages of these personnel are at 700 rupees. Therefore, he pointed out that 8 years' experience is an adequate qualification for them to be absorbed into the permanent cadre.
General Secretary of Commonwealth Patricia Scotland held a discussion with President Ranil Wickremesinghe today. During the meeting, the President held discussions over the digitization programs within the Commonwealth nations. President Wickremesinghe also shared his strategies for addressing climate change and explored potential involvement of the Commonwealth in these efforts.
The All Ceylon Bakery Owners Association has taken steps to reduce the price of all bakery products, including bread, by 10 rupees. The association has said that the relevant benefit will be extended for the consumers from midnight today. Canteen Owners Association also said that the prices of other food products should also be reduced in comparison to the bakery product prices. President of All Ceylon Bakery Owners Association N.K. Jayawardena said that a decision was reached to reduce the price of bread by 10 rupees and requested to reduce the prices of other bakery products by 10 rupees. He urged all bakeries to reduce the prices of their products by 10 rupees as there is no standard price for bakery products. He further said that this decision was reached in gratitude of the egg provisions. Today is the second day of the annual Essilor Festival of the historic Ruhunu Kataragama Devalaya.
Sri Lanka Rupavahini Corporation is the official media sponsor for the festival. A large number of devotees are gathering at the Kataragama's sacred site to be a part of the historic festival.
Good evening everybody. We are on the second day of the annual Essilor Festival Surindhuni Kataragama 2023, which is celebrated to commemorate the wedding of God Skanda and Princess Valiamma. Before the commencement of the festival was a traditional period chanting by the Buddhist monks. This prestigious festival is held at the holy and historic venue of Ruhunu Kataragama Mahadevalaya, which is believed to have been built by King Dutugamunu to honor the god. And also it's a must to remind that the festival has been excellently organized and planned by the Honorable the Mahatheras of Abhinavarama and Kataragama Kirivihara Buddhist temples, as well as by the Basnayaka Nilame, the Ruhunu Kataragama Mahadevalaya, along with his team. And also this is one of the greatest festivals in Sri Lanka, which brings all races, all religions to one place, with a multitude of faithfuls having arrived at the holy place from the east, from the north, and from all around the country. The main media sponsor of the festival is Jatika Rupavahini, with the theme of devoting ourselves to honor and pay homage to God Skanda.
Helpline Lanka organization of the United States has donated a consignment of medicinal drugs to the Ministry of Health today. The value of the consignment is amounting to $40 million. US Ambassador Julie Chung handed over the medicinal drug consignment to Minister Kehelia Rambukwella. The consignment is consisted of 32 types of medicinal drugs, including infections, cholesterol, anesthetic, arthritis, diabetes, and painkillers. The US Ambassador said that as a close friend, the United States will continue to extend support to Sri Lanka in future as well. The Health Minister mentioned that expeditious measures will be taken to release the consignment from the customs.
British High Commission in Colombo says that Sri Lanka is among 65 countries that would benefit from one of the most generous preferential trading schemes in the world. The UK's Developing Countries Trading Scheme is expected to provide tariff reductions and simpler terms of trade. The scheme was announced last year and legislation has now been finalised to bring into force. In a statement, British High Commissioner to Sri Lanka Sarah Hulton said that the UK is Sri Lanka's second largest export market, and the new scheme demonstrates the UK's continued interest in strengthening this trade relationship. She has indicated that the Sri Lankan exporters will broaden their opportunities with the UK by making use of the wider number of products for which tariffs have been removed. She further indicated that the scheme is a tangible example of the UK's commitment to growing free and fair trade with countries including Sri Lanka, boosting economies and supporting jobs. Replacing the GSP Plus scheme, the new scheme allows Sri Lanka to trade with the UK tariff-free on 92% of goods, leading to increased competitiveness of Sri Lankan products in the UK market. The statement issued by the British High Commission in Colombo has indicated that Sri Lanka is well positioned to supply the UK due to increasing demand for sustainable, fair trade and healthier products. With more flexible rules of origin, it is easier for least developed countries to trade with Sri Lanka without losing tariff-free status, increasing the potential for supply chain development. Meanwhile, the UK Trade Partnerships Programme now covers Sri Lanka. This will improve the visibility of Sri Lankan producers, equip exporters with the necessary tools and knowledge and facilitate their entry into new markets.
In other stories, a massive search and rescue operation is underway in the mid-Atlantic after a tourist submarine went missing during a dive to Titanic's wreck. Contact with the surface vessel the Polar Prince was lost about an hour and 45 minutes into its dive, the US Coast Guard said. Tour firm OceanGate said all options were being explored to rescue the 5 people on board. Tickets cost $250,000 for an 8-day trip, including dives to the wreck at a depth of 12,500 feet. Government agencies, the US and Canadian navies, and commercial deep-sea firms are helping the rescue operation. Titanic's wreck lies around 700 kilometers south of St. John's, Newfoundland, though the rescue mission is being run from Boston, Massachusetts. The missing craft is believed to be OceanGate's Titan submersible, a truck-sized sub that holds 5 people and usually dives with a 4-day emergency supply of oxygen. Those missing include Pakistani businessman Shahzada Dawood and his son Suleiman, as well as Hamish Harding, a 58-year-old British billionaire businessman and explorer.
The Parliamentary Budget Office Bill was unanimously passed with amendments in the Parliament today. Parliamentarian Iran Vikramaratne said that the budget should be monitored throughout the year, and establishing the budget office would be helpful in that task. He also said that establishing the budget office would enable other political parties and independent entities to obtain relevant information. He also said that an analysis of costs allocated for unveiling statements of policies during election timeframes could also be obtained through this office.
මේ ප්‍රතිපත්ති ප්‍රකාශන වලට විශ්ලේෂණය වියදම් කරන්න වෙන්න මුදල් ප්‍රමාණය වුණත් මේ කාර්යාලය හරහා ලබා ගන්න පුළුවන්. රටක් හැටියට ඉස්සරහට ගමන්.
Acting Finance Minister Shehan Semesinghe said that when a country moves forward, it should not be isolated from the rest of the world. He said that the country should follow the best practices of most of these developed countries. He said that current reforms are expected to increase the state income and improve financial discipline while strengthening the financial system of the country, which will instill a significant trust among the public. State Minister Ranjit Siambalapitia said that establishing the Parliamentary Budget Office Bill is a victory which strengthens the parliamentary democracy. He further said that the public will receive the right to request an analysis on any attractive suggestions which are proposed either in the budget or in policy statements issued during election time periods.
Meanwhile, Minister Manusha Nanayakkara announced plans to digitize the entire Foreign Service Centre in order to liberate the Foreign Employment Centre from the clutches of traffickers. He made these remarks during a press conference held today at the Presidential Media Centre, focusing on the theme of collective path to a stable country. Minister Manusha Nanayakkara said that plans are underway to digitize the entire Foreign Service Centre in order to liberate the Foreign Employment Centre from the clutches of traffickers. The minister emphasised that this initiative would empower the Foreign Employment Bureau to thwart unnecessary interference and combat illegal activities efficiently. He further said that under the guidance of President Ranil Wickremesinghe, the Ministry of Finance has constituted a committee to oversee the implementation of this program. Additionally, he said that the relevant state authorities have taken decisive action against numerous foreign employment agencies involved in illegal activities, resulting in their prohibition. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights Volker Turk has encouraged Sri Lanka to implement recommendations presented through the UNHRC.
The UN Human Rights Commissioner said that Sri Lanka has continued to engage with the UNHRC presence on the ground level.
He made these remarks while addressing the 53rd regular session of the United Nations Human Rights Council yesterday, which will be held until the 14th of July.
During the session, the Council will consider the outcomes of the Universal Periodic Review of 13 states, including Sri Lanka.
Now, Sri Lanka is scheduled to deliver oral updates on the situation of human rights in the country on the 21st of June.
Mr. President, Excellencies, distinguished delegates, when the first Secretary General of the United Nations, Trygve laid the cornerstone of the New York building that was to house the United Nations, it contained a copy of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Human rights are literally the cornerstone of the United Nations. Since then, states have established an ecosystem of international human rights bodies. Among them, the 10 treaty bodies, this Human Rights Council, with its Universal Periodic Review, investigations, and special procedures experts, and my office. We are now at a critical juncture, 75 years after the adoption of the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and 30 years after the Vienna Declaration. Against the backdrop of flaring conflicts, the Sustainable Development Agenda dangerously off track, and environmental harm threatening humanity, international cooperation is vital so that we can advance human rights. This is what the United Nations Charter puts forward as a premise. And it is why before this Council session, I will focus my statement on cooperation between Member States and the ecosystem of international human rights bodies. A lifeline which is strong because it is made of many cords bound together like a sailor's rope. Poor cooperation leaves states adrift. Selective cooperation weakens that lifeline's force. 95 states or territories accommodate human rights field presences, and when this statement is uploaded to our website, they will be listed. I pay tribute to their engagement. Let me give you a few examples. In Sri Lanka, although the government has regrettably rejected aspects of the Council's resolutions related to accountability, it has continued to engage with our presence on the ground. Sri Lanka has received 12 visits by mandate holders in the past decade, and I encourage the authorities to implement their recommendations.
The World Refuge Day is observed today as humanity faces a record number of people displaced. The number of people displaced by war, persecution, violence and human rights abuses stood at a record 108.4 million by the end of 2022, up 19.1 million on a year earlier and the biggest ever increase, according to the United Nations Refugee Agency. According to the agency's annual report titled Global Trends in Forced Displacement 2022, over a third of the 100+ million forced displacement are refugees, and more than half of them originated from 3 countries, including Syria, Ukraine and Afghanistan. Over 43 million displaced people were children under 18, accounting for 40% of the total number, said the report. At the end of 2022, low and middle income countries host 76% of the world's refugees and other people in need of international protection, and the least developed countries provided asylum to 20% of the total. UN High Commissioner for Refugees Filippo Grandi urged inclusion in a statement, calling on states to embrace policies that harness the enormous potential refugees have to contribute to the social, economic and political life of the host countries. He also appealed to the international community to step up support to host countries.
Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena says that transporting the Muthuraja Tasker back to Thailand will not affect the diplomatic relations between the nations. The Prime Minister made these remarks when the attention of the Parliament was directed over the repatriation of the Tasker to Thailand. Parliamentarian Dallas Alahaperuma said that the country faced a disgrace over the issue internationally. He said that addressing this issue was a promise made in the previous presidential election. However, the entire nation has seen the plight of the Tasker. He said that the country as a whole has not been able to express regret over this issue. Minister Ravani said that once a Tasker is handed over as an offering or through an epistle, the responsibility vested with the Department of Wildlife Creek ceases. The responsibility to look after the Tasker has temporarily been transferred to the Dehiwala Zoological Gardens, she said. The minister extended her gratitude to Thai government for the support extended to look after the Tasker. However, she made a request to the Thai ambassador discouraging the Thai government from taking the elephant back to their country. Opposition leader Sajith Premadasa said that the Wildlife Department cannot ignore their responsibilities by stating that the elephant was handed over through an epistle. Therefore, he proposed a regulation to enable officers attached to the veterinary field in respective areas to inspect and inquire into the well-being of such elephants. Prime Minister Dinesh Gunawardena said that during his visit to Thailand recently, he extended his regret over this issue to the Thai Prime Minister. He reiterated that the Thai-Sri Lanka bilateral relations are a specially shared friendship. He said that the Muthuraja Tasker will return to Thailand in the next couple of days. He said that the chief incumbent of the temple has handed over the required documents over the carrying and returning of the elephant following recovery.
Sri Lanka Army says that delayed increased allowances will be released to the salaries of retired disabled army members and families of the deceased army officials. Sri Lanka Army in a statement said that considering the financial difficulties of army members caused due to the economic recession, the President at the request of the Army Commander recommended an increment of close to 10,000 rupees for their monthly ration allowances. Accordingly, the monthly ration allowance of all army personnel on active service was increased from April this year, and it was subsequently added to their monthly salary effective from May. However, the statement has further indicated that a delay has occurred over the payment of the increased allowance to the salary of war-affected disabled army personnel and payment made on behalf of dead army members in May. Sri Lanka Army today made all necessary arrangements to release delayed ration increments to their salaries for the months of April and May.
Diplomatic notes to fast-track the implementation of establishment of modern computer labs and smart boards with customized curriculum software in 200 schools in the Galle district were exchanged yesterday. Accordingly, the High Commissioner of India, Gopal Bagle, exchanged the respective notes with Secretary to the Ministry of Education, M.N. Ranasinghe. Minister Dr. Ramesh Patirana was present at the occasion. Deputy High Commissioner Vinod K. Jacob and officials from High Commission of India and Ministry of Education also participated in this event. Exchange of notes will further streamline and expedite the implementation of the project by aligning the procurement process in accordance with the framework prescribed by the Government of Sri Lanka. The project, implemented through Government of India grant assistance, aims to improve digital literacy amongst students attending schools in the lesser privileged areas. This is one among several grant projects undertaken by Government of India in the education sphere in Sri Lanka.
Ministry of Agriculture says several products including fruits have earned an export revenue of $36 million last year under the agri-sectoral modernization project. Steps have been taken to export many crops under this project. Gherkin, jumbo peanuts, mangoes, pineapple and sour plantain are some of the crops exported under the project. Sour plantains cultivated in Rajangani and Jaffna as well as green cucumber cultivated in Vakare have a higher demand. The entire harvest of the green cucumber cultivation is exported to Japan and this product is used to make burgers. Sour plantain has made an immense demand in various countries including Dubai. Sour plantains are only cultivated in Rajangani and Jaffna at present. The Ministry of Agriculture said that the plantain production is not sufficient to meet the demand in other countries. Therefore, plans have been put in to cultivate sour plantains and Cavendish in 2 zones in Ambilipitia and Sevanagala areas under the cost of 150 million rupees. That's it on Local Stories. Stay tuned with us for news from overseas coming your way after this short break.
Kutumi, Fantamai.
Welcome back. We move on to news overseas now. The United Nations adopted the first ever international treaty to govern the high seas and protect remote ecosystems vital to humanity after more than 15 years of discussions. UN Secretary General Antonio Guterres hailed as a historic achievement the pact that will establish a legal framework to extend environmental protections to international waters which cover more than 60% of the Earth's surface. He said that climate change continues to disrupt weather patterns and ocean currents, raising sea temperatures and alter marine ecosystems and the species. The oceans produce most of the oxygen in the world while limiting climate change by absorbing carbon dioxide and hosting rich areas of biodiversity, often at the microscopic level.
Kutumi, Fantamai.
And in sports news, Sri Lanka Cricket has announced that 3 more additions have been made to the Sri Lankan contingent taking part in the ICC Cricket World Cup qualifiers. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka managed to secure a profound win in their first match played against the UAE yesterday.
According to Sri Lanka Cricket, left-arm seamer Darshan Madhushankar, all-rounder Dunit Velalage and middle-order batsman Sahan Arachige have been called for the squad. They will join the Sri Lanka squad on the 23rd. The ICC Cricket World Cup qualifier is currently underway in Zimbabwe and Sri Lanka will face against Oman on the 23rd in their second match of the tournament. The schedule of the tour of Pakistan in Sri Stockrell was 91 not out. Oman managed to chase down the target by scoring 285 runs with a loss of 5 wickets in the 48th over of their innings. This is the first one-day international victory for Oman against a test-playing nation.
Bowled, cleaned up. Oh, he's hit that sweetly.
Prima Kutumi, Fantamai.
And with that, we wrap up tonight's news bulletin. Do join us tomorrow for more of the very latest. Until then, good night.
Good night.